Everyone is telling wellness brand founders to avoid saturated markets. I personally think that's the worst advice I've ever heard, and here's why. Let's take matcha, for example. For any founder out there who's contemplating creating a matcha brand, you're going to have somebody on the other side of it saying, but there's a matcha brand on every corner. There's a matcha pop-up shop everywhere you go. Why would you do matcha? That business is never going to be successful. There are too many of them. But research and statistics show that in North America alone, we're not even talking about the continent of Asia. We're not even talking about Japan itself, which is like the mother of matcha. We're talking about North America. By 2035, it's set to double. Like, the economics around matcha is set to double by 2035. So what does that tell you? It's not about the product itself. It's about how you're marketing your product and who you're marketing it to. Okay, so let's dig into the problem of matcha saturation. But before we start giving the breakdown, I'm going to need you to click subscribe. The problem of matcha is not saturation, it's your brand positioning. For anyone out there who's thinking about creating a matcha brand, it's figuring out who you're positioning it for. I see such a sea of sameness in matcha brands as a brand strategist. And when I say a sea of sameness, I'm meaning that you're marketing to the same person. The packaging looks the same, the font even looks the same, your websites look the same, and your client avatar is probably the same. But what would it look like to switch up your positioning? What would it look like to have different messaging and a different tone of voice and a different packaging and a whole different client avatar? Here are 3 things that you can do to cut through a saturated market. The first one being creating a separate point of view. When we look at it through the lens of matcha right now, I think a lot of times the point of view is around the cutesy, like wellness girly, first thing in the morning, maybe after her workout or maybe before her workout. And a lot of times we're seeing that sort of wellness creator sharing the point of view of like grabbing their matcha and then like heading off into the sunset. But you can change that point of view, especially when you're thinking about it from a content strategy lens. Maybe it's not the wellness girly. Maybe it's the person on their way to work and they're sipping it while driving and listening to like a podcast from Lewis House. Like, does that make sense? Second, I'd also highly recommend that you change the visual strategy of your packaging, of your content, and definitely of your website. Right now, it's like everything is sort of like a base set of colors, pale greens, pale mauve, pale beige, like natural tones. Why not have pops of color? Why not really disrupt this market and like do something different? Present yourself differently, right? Does everything have to look and feel the same? No, it really doesn't. And then 3, when we're talking about who the messaging is for, once again, we can switch up this wellness girly messaging. It can even be for like the bros. Like, I don't really see any matcha messaging for the bros. So if you were to double down on like who you could potentially have a target market for, I would say also disrupt in that way. Like, step away from the wellness girly angle because everyone and their mother is doing that. Figure out how else you can create a matcha brand for somebody who's like the unlikely character in the story. So funny story, I'm currently living in Madrid and I'm getting my bearings, and this is my first week here, and I'm walking around the streets. I'm in an area called La Latina. It's very popular. And I turn the corner and I see a cafe, and at the top of the sign, it says Cafe Dude. And I'm like, dude? Well, I'm clearly not the intended audience, but I'm still gonna go in there anyways. So this is kind of connecting to my potential fun suggestion of like marketing to like another type of client avatar, like that bro, that dude. And so I go inside and the entire cafe is pretty much like an ode to matcha. And guess who's working behind the counter? A dude. And I just thought that was really, really cool. So point being, that's kind of one of the things that like caught my eye. And so I think also a lot of wellness founders out there, and we're gonna once again stay with the example of matcha, I think they have a fear that like if I double down on like this one particular type of client avatar, then that means nobody else is gonna want to buy from me. And that's not true. I'm a female and I saw Cafe Dude and I was like, that's cool. I want to see what that's about. And now I'm a forever fan. Like while I'm here, I will constantly be going to Cafe Dude to get my matcha. So if you're building a wellness brand in a saturated product space and you're wondering, why is this not working out? That's exactly what I do here at the Maxwell Method. My name is Natasha Maxwell. Feel free to send me a message and let's connect.